going, dudes. Okay. What's up? What's up? Woo! All right, everybody. It's after dark. It's Friday. You folks ready to hang out like a bunch of nerds on a Friday night? Half of you are probably Australian right now, so it's like Saturday afternoon. Probably a lovely day. You should be at the beach. What are you doing with me? Anyway, hey, everybody. Welcome. Houston with a problem. Episode 153. We had a fantastic green week. I think it set us up for a decent gamma starting on Tuesday. We're up what, $45, 40 somewhere around there, $50 almost on the week. That put a lot of options in the money. The May options are a little weaker than usual, but still put 2-3 million shares in the money that have to get purchased by Wednesday. Anyway, so there's a lot of those win the money, but it's a short trading week, and so far in the last year and a half, short trading weeks have resulted in giant gains on GME and AMC and other meme stocks. I think it has a lot to do with gamma squeezes just happened to come around then. You have the monthlies get triggered the week before usually, and then you have a gamma squeeze going into that Tuesday, which causes the price to rise, which pushes a gamma into that Friday, which causes the price to rise, and we usually get some pretty good stuff out of that. And we're going into the earnings report and the yearly shareholders meeting, where we're going to finally get some answers about the dividend. Ooh, so exciting! But yeah, let's do it. Let's get it going. Elon pulled out of the Twitter deal. I told you he would. I said it was not going to happen, and it didn't happen. He pulled out. He's going to pay $1 billion fine, and my guess is he's going to get sued for stock manipulation. They'll probably file a giant lawsuit against him for, billions, and he's going to have to fight that. And he's I don't care how good of a lawyer he can hire. I don't think he's going to win it. He'll probably have to settle for a huge chunk of SpaceX or Tesla. So the company of Twitter may own big chunks of those two companies. We'll see where it goes. But he has pulled out, and oops, that was a big dumb deal. He lost $50 billion in wealth trying to do that in the last 6 weeks, and Tesla is cratering. The Tesla boards talked about getting rid of him as CEO. Oops. Anyway, anything else to add? No, the dogs aren't even here for me to look at them and try to ponder. So that's what we got. And what you get is this. Whee! All right, turn that off. Oh, the regular intro was on. If I didn't, now that's off. Ha! I did a week. No double intro. Okay, dumb dog, out of the way. Where are we? What do we got? Oh, Don sees your shed. Already super chatted here. I don't believe in skinwalkers, but your story about seeing a cougar and then a dude in a suit with a big gun, rented car, calls on skinwalker. He was a goofy-looking man, too. Like George Costanza, but fatter and worse acne. It was weird. Very weird. Okay. Who else we got in here? We got Michael Pisco. Hey, man, never received my voter proxy for GME for the upcoming vote. Mid-XX holder, does that mean all my shares are Fugazi? Cheers and keep it sunny side up. I would contact your broker and be like, yo, what's the deal? I have this many shares. I never got my vote, my proxy vote laid on me. What's happening? Because you should have gotten it. And you should at least yell at some poor customer service person and make them yell at their superior who yells at their superior and so on. But that's what you should do. You should have gotten your proxy vote. Okay, Sad Boy Incorporated Houston. My brother is an auditor and CPA for one of the big four. He is certain that MOAS is not possible and that it's just layman's fantasy of the Big Short. How do I prove him wrong? Well, lay out what has happened. Ask him if retail shareholders own 10 times the amount of shares that exist, right? There should be 70 million shares and they own 700 million of them. If that's the case, and the short hedge funds get liquidated, what happens to their short positions? Those short positions have to close, correct? And if those short positions have to close, they have to buy each legitimate share 10 times over in order to close their positions. What's the price going to do? That's fair to ask. So just lay that out and make him explain it to you how liquidated hedge funds that get blinked out of existence, can somehow manipulate the price after that, because they can't. They do not have the power to do the manipulation they were doing previously, because it got so bad and their obligations got so large that they literally got closed, and all their assets sold, and they're focused on closing these positions. That is what I'd ask him, and see how he explains it to you, how they're going to illegally avoid closing those positions they legally have to close. Space Monkey just got home from seeing Top Gun. It's 12:30 a.m. here, and the show just started. Awesome. What an awesome film, by the way. Happy late birthday, Houston. Excellent. Good. Glad there's good reviews. I may have a chance to go see it tomorrow night. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if I have the evening free and I can do that. You need to stay here because you're a dog. You don't get to go see Top Gun. Well, yes. Cool. Got a couple people say they'll miss the show because they're watching Top Gun, but that's okay. It's Top Gun. It's been 40 years since they did the last one. Okay. Auditor 1. Pure Chase asking me if I read anything from Ray Dalio's Changing World Order yet. I have not had a chance to get to it yet. It's on the reading list, but the reading list is long. So I'll get there eventually. I've not had a chance there, Pure Chase. Sad Boy Incorporated has read through most of the DD library and claims we don't know what we're talking about and that it doesn't work like that. Cool. Have him explain to you how it works. Because, people going, it doesn't work like that. Okay, then tell me how it works. Explain it to me. Use your words, not just your hand waviness, and use your words to explain to me how being underwater by 700 million to 1 billion shares doesn't result in a short squeeze. What's the alternative? The alternative is probably more crime, but if the economy drops and we expect perhaps some large savings and loans, some large commercial banks, or some large investment banks going under during this, how are the hedge funds going to survive? If the hedge funds can't survive this, then they are not going to be able to do what they've been doing, which is their illegal malfeasance and their naked short printing and all that. So, if your brother can't explain that to you, then he doesn't know. So, it's bothering me. This shirt keeps opening, and then you see the blue of my shirt underneath, and it looks weird on camera. It's bugging me. Stand up straight, no slouching. Okay. Sad Boy also asks, please retell the Skinwalker story. I don't know the Skinwalker story very well. I just know it's a ranch in Utah where they claim that there's paranormal stuff that's happened there for years. But the people who owned the ranch before them said, no, it never happened. But I don't. Ghost stories? I don't really believe in ghosts. I had a girlfriend who was adamant that ghosts existed, and I was like, no, ghosts don't exist. And she was telling me about the story about she was under her blanket and all these crazy lights were floating around her, and she knew that there were spirits in the room with her. And so I took a polar fleece off my shelf. I put it over her head. I turned the light bulb off and told her to take it off. She took off the polar fleece, and all this static electricity was popping all over her head. And she just hated my guts after. I think that's the reason why we broke up. Was because I completely shattered her entire illusion as to what ghosts were, because I recreated scientifically her mystical, spiritual awakening as like a 7-year-old under a blanket. And oops, sorry, science ruins things. But no, I don't believe in ghosts. The reason why Ghost Hunters, that show, has been on for like 25 years and they've never found a single ghost is because there's no ghosts to find. We try to attribute like humans have souls and spirits and stuff, but like if that were the case, if when you die you became this like ethereal thing that floated through space, then what's the point of all this? Why is childbirth for mothers so brutal? And why are our necks so tiny compared to our giant popsicle heads? Why are our brains so big for our body size if all you needed was a soul? Then you can become a ghost. You don't need a big brain. So, if I take a melon baller and scoop out some of your head, who you are no longer exists. We are like 3 pounds of fat playing Human Simulator all day long. That is it. And if you ruin this cabeza, who you are is completely different and changed. So, like, this is our reality is what we perceive through this thing. And ghosts don't have them. Plus, if you're a skeleton walking around with your bones, how? You have no muscles? You have no ligaments? How are you walking around? How are you talking? You don't have a vocal cord pipe there, skeleton man. Might be saying brains, but we can't hear you because you have no lungs. Pacific Northwest Texan, what are your thoughts on Skinwalker Ranch? Did the TV show come back on tonight? Is that why you guys are asking Skinwalker questions like crazy? Is it a portal? No, I think it's just a chunk of Utah and some creepy music that plays when they tell stories. Houston, have you played any of the Mass Effect games? Just getting started, liking it so far. I played the original Mass Effect and I was enjoying it. And then I got stuck against a boss with a gun with like no bullets. And then I realized that the autosave just rewrote the previous saves and I could never go back. And I'd already devoted like 30 hours to playing this game. And I just didn't have the heart to like start all over again. So I never finished the first Mass Effect because I got stuck. Like I'd reappear and just get killed, then reappear and just get killed. And there was no way I could even survive like 10 seconds with this boss. It was very frustrating. So maybe when my brain has erased enough of Mass Effect, I will go back and start the first one again, but just make sure that each time it saves in a new file so that if I do get in a situation like that, I'm not just stuck dying over and over and over and over again. But I enjoyed them. I thought the lore they made was really good and fun. Okay. Houston, have you been in Sweden? Not yet. I've only been to, in Scandinavian countries, I've only been to Norway and Iceland. I'd love to go to Sweden. I lived with 2 sisters who were from Sweden when I started college down in San Diego. And I would love to go visit and say hello. It's been so long. I'll get there someday. Moas, I'll go to Sweden and sweet it up and go to that town where everyone says yes by going shh. I want to see them do that. Just ask them yes or no questions and be like, such and such. They'll be like, no, such and such. They'll go, shh. Okay. Houston after Bark. Michael Harrow, Houston, what do you think about the Fed looking into a central bank digital currency? I mean, it wouldn't be too big of a leap for them to do since they already print money digitally usually anyway. So they may as well have a blockchain for it rather than the loose like, oh yeah, I created a bunch of zeros and just sent it to this bank and bought treasuries or whatever. That's likely to come. The people argue that, we want to get rid of fiat and that's why we're going to digital currency, and then not realizing that the digital currency is still tied to a fiat currency to have it have any value means it's essentially fiat. It's not centralized. Okay, so there's no regulations on it and you get rug pulled anytime you want. And anytime that they want, and they can leave you holding the bag. The whole thing that crashed. What was that coin? Luna. The whole thing that crashed Luna was that Luna created a fiat where they had Luna and they had the Terra dollar coin that was tethered, and it was like, we'll guarantee that you can buy $1 worth of Luna with your Terra, and that's how it'll work. And they just made a whole fiat, and then yoink, it got rug pulled, and everyone lost cajillions of dollars. So yeah, just in my head, is Jurassic Park possible? Probably not. First of all, DNA doesn't get preserved in amber the way that they laid out in the Michael Crichton book and the movies. There has been soft tissue discovery since that time in dinosaur fossils, but the soft tissue was there, but the DNA wasn't intact. The DNA basically unspooled. So getting intact DNA from 60 million years ago, so far, there hasn't been a method to see that through. We do have intact DNA from like mammoths from 5, 10, 15,000 years ago. We have intact DNA. The first time fossilized or intact soft tissue was found was in fossilized frogs that were like 1 million years old. And they did have some recognizable strains of DNA, but not enough for a full genetic code. What was the lady? It's the lady at Duke that made that discovery. And I can't remember her name. She wrote an amazing article about the harassment she would receive from Southern Baptists who were convinced the earth was like 6,000 years old and that she was a blasphemer and going to hell and stuff. And she's trying to explain that she was like, I'm a Christian. I go to church. I just know that, there's factual reality and there's faith. And sometimes those things don't align. And when they don't align, you just have to go, oh, well, the faith was wrong here. That's it. It's a pretty good article about like trying to reconcile those two worlds while like admitting, yeah, this is a 1 million-year-old frog fossil with soft tissue in it. What was her name? I bet I can look it up right now. Duke University frog fossil soft tissue. This is it. Oh, no. That's salamanders, and those are dudes. That's not the lady. It's got to be like 10 years ago, 15 years ago when it happened. Google's not popping it up. But anyway, cool lady from Duke made that discovery. Where am I? I'm looking. That's a Fed question. That Canadian dude, Wednesday, there's a Chinese asset restriction for collateral, right? No, it's Friday. Third is that. So we got that happening on Friday. Wednesday is the earnings call for GameStop. Thursday is the shareholders meeting for GameStop. Friday is the Chinese assets thing. And we also have, apparently China is telling their people to dump U.S. assets, likely in preparation for an invasion of Taiwan in the fall, which would just be a stupid idea for China to do. China, if you're watching my YouTube channel, invading Taiwan will crash your economy and destroy any international business you have with anyone for the next 50 years. You rely on hard currency from other countries flooding your market. You import hard currency and send out cheap plastic shit. And if you no longer can import that hard currency and no one's buying your cheap plastic shit, then you have no economy. Right? They're going to send their tooling elsewhere, and other emerging economies are going to take over where you were, and you're going to face massive famine. You're going to face rampant poverty and probably revolution. So it's a really dumb idea to destroy your economy because you want a little island that you can't have. It's dumb. Plus, you got this giant navy, but you're seeing what shore to ship missiles can do. And Taiwan has like more shore to ship missiles than any nation on Earth. They are surrounded by them, and they will just wipe you guys out. They shoot farther than your ships do. So it's going to be embarrassing, I think. The Air Force may have some chance to like bomb them to oblivion, but you're not going to get landing parties in there for a while. It's going to be brutal. Okay. Prontal, Houston, can you please explain how the limit in speed of light affects our observation of distant stars? What are the implications of this observation delay? Well, all right, so we talk about a light year is the distance the light can travel over a year. And in our brains, we say, oh, it's 5 light years away. We go, oh, 5, okay. But a light year is a ridiculously long way. We can do a little math here. Let's do a little calculator math. Got the calculator. Boom. All right. So, if light can travel 186,000 miles per second, 186,000 miles per second, that is going around the Earth, what, like 14, 15 times in 1 second. That's a lot. Basically takes a second and a half for information from here to broadcast to the moon, another second and a half for it to come back. So it's like a 3-second delay sending information to the moon and getting it back. It's 8 minutes from the sun to Earth. It's like 11 hours from the sun to Pluto. So if we want to figure out how many like miles in a year these things can do, okay. First, you have to talk about how many minutes there are. So we've got 24 hours in a day times 60 minutes times 60 seconds, which gives us 86,840 seconds in 1 day, times 365 gives us 31,536,000 seconds in a year, times 186,000 miles. Wonk. We're looking at 5,865,696,000,000 miles is how far light travels in a year. That's a ridiculously long time. So if you're looking at something that's 1 light year away, you're going to be seeing it as it was a year ago, because there's that delay. Just like if you're looking at the moon, you're actually seeing the moon as it was a second and a half ago. Or if you're looking at the sun, you're seeing the sun as it was 8 minutes ago. You're seeing it trapped in the past, and that's when the light hits you. So if you're looking at something that is 1 billion light years away, you're seeing it as it was 1 billion years ago. Jersey sent me a paper that came out talking about how we've estimated the size of galaxies wrong because these scientists looked at galaxies that were really, really far away and they had much bigger stars in them. Well, that's not us estimating the size of galaxies wrong. It's us not comprehending that billions and billions of years ago, these galaxies were younger than they are now. If we see a galaxy that's 10 billion light years away, we're seeing a very young galaxy just forming essentially right after the first clouds of gas coalesce into galaxies to begin with. And when new star systems are forming, there's a lot more big, bright stars. So if we look at, I would go, nope, it's not there. I want to go to Chrome. I got to open you up, turn you into, where's my frogs? Where'd you go? Oh, frog fossil. Okay. And I want to do Pleiades. Of course, I spell it wrong. I can't spell save my life. Pleiades. All right. So look at the Pleiades. This is a little star cluster you can see in the northern sky. Looks like a little tiny little dipper. Now you can see the gas clouds around these stars. This is an open cluster, meaning there's a gas cloud there. The gas clouds collapse into stars, and what you're seeing is an 80 million year old star system, gas cloud, but 80 million years old, inside of our own galaxy, and we see big bright stars. Well, in the Pleiades, there's actually little teeny, there's like hundreds of little teeny tiny yellow and red stars that are really small. But you can't see them very well because they're being outshone by these big, bright, giant blue stars. These are hot, blue, violet, white, lots of bright, rich, high-energy colors. And they don't live very long. They might live a few 100 million years before they run out of juice and explode. They live fast, die young, and it's brutal. But once they're gone and they explode, there'll be lots of tiny little stars you'll suddenly be able to see that won't be outshone by these big, bright ones. So if we look at a globular cluster, So globular clusters. These are stars that formed almost like little galaxies themselves. Oops, I didn't want to go. I don't want to go there. I just want to look at the globular cluster and not click on it. So these things formed when the galaxy first formed. These are like little proto galaxies that orbit our own galaxy, and there might be 10,000 to a million stars inside of one of these. And they look like spider eggs or something. But there are no big bright stars left in these. These formed 13 billion years ago. All the big bright stars have left, and all that's left are yellow and red stars, older ones. And they definitely trend more red the older they get. Now, that's because all the bright ones died. They're gone. And if we go to Orion Stellar Nursery. So like the cloud of Orion here, again, big bright stars are the ones that you see standing out. You can see some red ones in here, but the big bright stars are the ones that shine the most. These will be gone in 100 million years. It'll be just the little red ones left. So when these galaxies first formed 12 billion years ago, there was lots of really, really bright stars. And as time went on, they poofed into their supernovas and they disappeared and left behind more red stars and smaller amounts of clouds making stars. And so these scientists that said that, we underestimated the mass of these star systems because if you look 12 billion years ago, there's so much more big stars. Well, yeah, that's because they're new star systems. You are completely forgetting the fact that when a gas cloud collapses, a bunch of bright stars form, and then those die and leave behind little tiny stars. So, I can't remember where I was going with that. But we're talking about, and how it affects our observation of these distant stars. So we have to take into account when we're looking at something far away, we're seeing it as it was in its stage of development that long ago. So, you just have to sort of add that into your like a flip book. We can't see a star get born. We can't see it live its entire life and die. All we can see is snapshots of different stars in different stages of life throughout the entire universe, and we have to sort of piece it all together like a flip book. And is that dog? Is she whining? And that's how it limits in what we can observe. Because we're humans. We're bags of meat that live for 80 years, and that's it. But that star is going to live for 5 billion or 10 billion years. Even the biggest star that will die young might last 15, 20 million years. That's still way longer than you or I will ever be around. And we get those little snapshots throughout our life to do all this speculation on. And that's the biggest thing that keeps us from or impedes us in our ability to observe the sky. So, Pronto, did that work for you as an explanation? I hope so. If not, I did a poor job as a teacher. Okay. Dog Toggler is here. Dog Toggler. Dog Toggler. Okay, where'd that Dog Toggler go? Because my thing just reset. That's a Canadian dude. Daphne. Very late for Daphne. Sorry, Daphne. I know, it's a late night shirt. Donnell says, nice shirt. Do you believe stones have healing powers or hot springs? Do stones have healing powers? No. Some of them might have certain psychoactive effects, like lithium. A stone of lithium can definitely alter your mood. Hot springs, I don't think there's anything magical about hot springs. I think the human body relaxes when it's in hot water, and that releases a lot of tension in our muscles, and that in itself is very healing. I love hot tubs. They are just magnificent, and I need to get my inflatable hot tub all cleaned out so I can use it again. I will do shows from that hot tub. I don't care. I love that thing so much. Meow meow. With all the probing of our rears that aliens do, is it possible they're just proctologist students that came here to practice their finals? I think it's very possible. I also think it's very possible that, if we look at this from a logical point of view, is it aliens capturing a bunch of rednecks and probing their butts, or is it a bunch of rednecks got drunk in the woods, their buddy fell asleep, and they probed his butt, and when he woke up, dude, aliens. And he's like, oh my God, I remember, they looked like you. I think that's much more likely that it's just rednecks doing butt stuff when their buddy falls asleep, and they're masking that sexual assault with aliens. Because, I mean, if you were to be the alien, like humans get interstellar travel, we fly to a distant star that's like 100 light years away, and we're observing them, and they are not quite as developed as we are, but they're close. They got civilization, they got cars, they got maybe they launched their first satellite or whatever, and we look at them and we go, okay, I need to get in that butt. That's all I care about. That's all I'm gonna. I came 100 light years to get some alien bussy, and I'm gonna get it. I just don't think that's I don't want to climb in there. I don't want to like get alien turds on me. I don't want to. I don't have to like, bleach my probe and put it in the dishwasher and hope that's enough to clean off the alien butt juice. It does not appeal to me in any way, shape, or form. I would much rather, I don't know, not do that. But I guess when you get a taste for it, you must need it. Maybe they're just real perverts and they're like, you know what? We're an entire alien culture built on butt stuff, and that's what we're here for. It is Houston After Dark, and we're doing alien butt stuff. Welcome. All right. Oh, almost spilled that water. That would have been a disaster. Okay. Monkey butt, get up there. Get your butt up there. Okay. Where are we? Alien butt stuff. Houston, what do you think next week is going to look like after the last couple of days? Thanks for keeping me awake. I'm line haul driver for a major freight company. Well, Matt S. Awesome. We're on the roads, keeping you awake. Talk about a little bit at the beginning of the show. I think we got gamma, like a little bit of gamma going into next Tuesday. We've got a short trading week. If next Tuesday results in a big push in price, and we've got two huge news days on Wednesday and Thursday, plus the possibility of all these Chinese bonds no longer counting towards collateral, meaning margin calls hitting over the weekend, we might see a big gamma wrap going into Friday. Now, with those two news days, the short hedge funds may try to push it down and naked short a whole bunch to drive the price down because they don't like good news to hit those things very well. So that's one thing that may work against us. But it could also result in a bunch of FOMO for Friday, depending on what the news is. I am really hoping we'll see $200 again sometime next week. That'd be super duper nice. That would really help things out. But I think after next Friday, leading into that first full week in June, we may see a bunch of gamma for that Monday and Tuesday. What days are those? The 5th and 6th? No, 6th and 7th. We may see gamma going in for those 2 days, and then they might have a better chance hammering it down after that because they'll have Wednesday and Thursday to get the price back under control, so they don't push anything else into the money on that following Friday. But I think next week we have a good chance to see a bunch of green, especially on Tuesday. And I'm hoping that just carries over into that Friday and we close really high up. Because then we'll be in the news talking about the dividend. If the price goes big green, people will be talking about it on social media again who are not part of the movement, and we can see some FOMO happening. And I really, 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 really hope that we get some good green out of that. Going into Houston has to leave for Canada for a few days. And I'd like to not have MOAS while I'm in Canada. That would suck. But we can still hope. We can still try. I don't know how the 11th to the 16th, I'll be in Canada. Let's see, what days are those? Saturday to... Saturday, Sunday, don't have to worry about shows. Saturday, Sunday. Okay, so boom, boom. 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th. I don't know if I'll be able to get any shows that week, the 13th to the 16th. So that may be difficult for us. But I'll see if I can squeeze one in the hotel room. I gotta get my laptop working again. So the laptop believes that like I've got like 55 fingers touching the screen at all times, and I can't get it to. I can't get it. I can get turned on. It goes to the password screen, and I can't enter the password because it thinks I'm touching somewhere on the screen at all times. It's very, very frustrating. I just need to be able to get in there to turn the touch screen off, and then I can just use it like a regular laptop, and I can't get there. It's so frustrating. Ugh. Yeah. I don't know. I have to plug in another monitor or something. Okay, Space Monkey. Space Monkey may know things about space. Maybe aliens came down, and the first guy claimed rape after he was caught by his guy friends, and now they're just pissed over the entire thing and decided we are not worth their time anymore. I did not have sexual relations with that redneck. Yeah. I was violated by a bunch of aliens looking like my friends. That's how they get you. They trick you. They're lizards they got human suits on. They like butt stuff. Okay. Where am I? I was at Pacone, Houston. I have missed all of this. Why did Elon buy Twitter and now he's not buying it? Elon and Peter Thiel started PayPal together. They're both South African. Peter Thiel, his grandfather was a rocket scientist for Nazi Germany. He was killed in a bombing run in like 1943. His parents fled Germany after the war, and settled in South Africa, where they loved the apartheid system in South Africa and fought really hard for it. And Peter Thiel went to a very right-wing, whites-only school. His parents fought for apartheid his entire life. And Peter Thiel's basically a Bond villain today. So he became a billionaire after PayPal, and he started Palantir and Rumble, which is sort of the Nazi YouTube. So basically, if you're on YouTube and you preach a bunch of hate and violence and you get kicked off, you go to Rumble, where Peter Thiel will let you say whatever you want and incite as much violence and hatred as you can. And that's what Rumble's for. That's his thing. And so Peter Thiel has got his fingers in lots of pies, but doesn't have enough money to buy Twitter. And he wants Twitter so that he can influence elections and things, because he spends a lot of money on neo-Nazi groups and white supremacist groups, and he wants to influence these far-right political movements. And he can do that if he can somehow get his like little finger in the pie in Twitter. So he went to his old buddy Elon. He's like, "Hey, Elon, we did PayPal together. Remember that?" Elon's like, "Yeah, I remember that." He's like, "Okay, do you want to be one of the cool kids?" And Elon wants to be one of the cool kids so bad. He's like, "Yes, Peter Thiel, I want to be a cool kid." He said, "You know what you should do if you want to be a cool kids buy Twitter." And Elon's like, "Oh, okay, will you like me if I buy Twitter?" And Peter Thiel's like, "I'll totally like you, buddy, if you buy Twitter." So Elon's like, "Oh, I'm going to go buy Twitter." So he bought, 9-point-something% of Twitter, announced that he wanted it, and then Twitter said, "Oh, we'll put you on the board if you don't buy any more." And he was like, "Okay." And then all of a sudden he's like, "No, I'm going to buy all of it." And so then he put in sort of a hostile takeover bid, $54.20. And Twitter was like, "No, we don't want you to run our company because you're a freak." And then Elon's, "Well, I'm going to do it anyway. And your shareholders are going to be pissed off, and it's going to be a hostile takeover, and I'm going to buy your company, and you're not going to be able to do anything about it." So then Twitter board hemmed and hawed, and they said, "Okay, fine." And they wrote up a contract that said, "You can buy Twitter at $54.20. You just sign this contract, and we'll agree to this deal." And Elon signed that contract, and he didn't read it. And in that contract said that Elon waives due diligence, and he's agreeing to buy this company, and if he has to back out, he owes us $1 billion in cash. Plus, there's liabilities where it could be considered manipulating the stock price and all this stuff. And he didn't have the cash to buy, so he had to borrow it. So he had to put up $60 billion in Tesla stock to get $20 billion for his share of buying Twitter. And then he found a bunch of other investors to put up their cash, and they were going to buy Twitter. Well, the $60 billion of collateral he put up for this $20 billion loan if that $60 billion drops in value and Tesla shares went from over $1,000 where they were when he made this deal down to, if they drop to $570, he gets liquidated. They take all those shares and he still owes on the loan. So they take his $60 billion in stock and he still owes the $20 billion. Also, the interest rate he got meant that pretty much all of the revenue generated by Twitter would go to just paying off the interest. So it would not be a profitable company anymore. So he got hosed and he started tweeting, going off the deep end. Sexual assault allegations came forward. The Tesla board was talking about getting rid of him as CEO because basically they did the math, and every time he tweeted since April 1st, Tesla has lost $10 billion in market cap. That's not the best use of one's time. Like if I tweeted and I lost $10 billion every time I wrote a stupid tweet, I would probably stop tweeting. It's very expensive 10 seconds of my stupid brain doing stupid stuff. So, so Elon now doesn't have the capital to do it, is about to get margin called and liquidated, and he just hasn't even bought the company yet. It's going to take about 6 months to buy the company. So he's pulling out. He's going to pay that $1 billion fine, and he's likely to face an SEC investigation and a Department of Justice investigation into stock manipulation. He's likely to be sued by the shareholders of Twitter for manipulating their stock. And so it may cost him a fortune in the end. He's lost $50 billion in his net worth since making the offer, and he hasn't even bought the company yet. So, oops. Oopsie. And it's all because Peter Thiel wanted unfettered access to Twitter to do whatever he wanted with it, and to push his far-right agenda. Because that's what he is. Peter Thiel is an evil, evil, evil man. He is a bad person. He is a Bond villain. And I think Elon really wants to be a Bond villain, but he's just kind of a little more bumbling. And I don't think he quite is as smooth an operator as he wants everyone to believe he is. I don't think he's ever playing 5D chess. I think he's just a rich kid who had a rich dad and lucked into his first couple billion. And after that, it's been kind of other people doing the work, and he just takes the credit for it, kind of Edison style, which is hilarious because the whole point of the Edison-Tesla battle was that Tesla did all the stuff himself, and Edison and other people do it, and he took the credit for it. And then Elon bought Tesla and then took credit for being the founder. It's kind of funny. Anyway, there. I caught you up, Pacone. Or Pacone? Pacone? Daphne the crystal ball's working overtime. Yeah. Jason Blackwell, Houston, this documentary Diamond Hands was good. The CEO of Citron Financial came off as a real self-absorbed tool. I still haven't had a chance to sit down and watch it yet. Someone said I can find it on YouTube, so maybe this weekend I'll get a chance to sit down and watch it. I got Peter early morning in Denmark. And then Lisa asked, we talked about Luna. We just talked about Luna. Bob Loblaw, Houston, I keep missing the live streams. I've been wanting to tell you a story for missing your birthday last Sunday. Same day as Johnny Carson had his last show in 1992. Exactly. That's why I stopped telling that story. Give away like give life treasure. I know, I stumble into that crap. Okay. All right. I can't believe it's 11:14 my time. I got over 300 of you hanging out with me here. You guys are so weird. Okay. Christian Garcia, Houston, greetings from SoCal. I know you probably have before, but can you give your take on DRS? I mean, DRS if you want to. I don't bother. I'm happy. I'm happy with my brokerage. I don't feel like they're going to collapse. It's their own clearinghouse. I don't think it's a problem. At this point, my biggest reservation about DRS is that it may allow hedge funds under Reg Show to use DRS as identifying shares and continuing to naked short. They'll do is say, oh yeah, well there's 15 million shares in DRS, computer share. I've identified them. Now I can sell 15 million more shares. And then comes by the next day, like, I've identified 15 million shares, and they sell some more. I've identified 15 million shares, and they sell some more. So that's my one thing about DRS. Plus, it's just a pain in the butt. I don't want to pay 25% or $25 commissions on selling. I don't want to have to write a letter to sell. I just want an easy system. I'm not holding this thing to be an insider, which is the entire point of DRS. I want to sell the minute the price becomes stupid. That's my entire goal. That's it. If I want to hold GameStop after that, I can buy back in if the price gets back down to reasonable again. But I'm in this to make a silly fortune. Yeah. Meow meow. Is it possible that Larry Craig was just an innocent toe tap and wide toilet stance guy who accidentally initiated potty play hand signal by mistake? No. Larry Craig. All I have to do is listen to Larry Craig talk, and you know that dude was just living a lie. He definitely was at the airport bathroom looking for some airport bathroom fun. For those of you guys who remember Larry Craig, what was this, like 15 years ago? He was the senator from Idaho who was trying to seduce the man's hostel next to him by like tapping his toes with his toes and be like, yeah, you want to do this? And then when he got arrested for soliciting sex in a bathroom, public bathroom, he claimed that he just had a really wide stance. That he just spreads his legs out really far when he's going to the bathroom, which is a hilarious excuse. We all know what you're doing, Larry. Hungry Caveman, just because you're awesome, happy late birthday. Thank you, Hungry Caveman. I try to be awesome. Monkeys sometimes think so. Right? Yeah. Big dog. Big dog's out like a light behind me. Everything's going well. Thank you, Hungry Caveman. Okay. Where were we? That's SoCal question. Westwind didn't get his from his broker and had to call. Oh, you're talking about your proxy vote? He had to call. Blah, blah, blah. I watched just about every show. I haven't heard the story about you getting hit by a car. What the heck happened? Who was at fault? Why did you go bankrupt? Story time. Well, okay, so I moved to San Diego after high school to go start school down at UC San Diego. I was supposed to play baseball down there. And I was, back then, an 18-year-old could make a fortune doing tech work. It was the dot-com bubble still raging. This is summer of 99. And I was basically working for a tech consulting company and going in and doing junior network administrator stuff, building computer networks, whatnot, all summer. And then I was living in this beautiful little bungalow on the beach in Mission Beach in San Diego, and basically just ride my bike everywhere because the grocery store is down the street, the beach is right there, don't need to drive that much. And I was coming back from the grocery store, or so we deduced, on my bike, but I woke up in the hospital like 13 hours later. So somebody hit me. I was on my bike. I landed on my face, knocked myself out cold. I must have come to, but I was so concussed that I don't remember anything, and found my way home. I do have like weird, I don't know if they're memories or if my brain made it up, but I do have like very foggy notions that I was asking people how to get to my address. 3511 Oceanfront Walk or something. I was like, hey, how do you get there? I'm just covered in blood and like, horrified at me. And I found my way home, but I didn't know how to get inside. So I just fell asleep on the porch in the sunshine and got heat stroke after that. And a friend who'd been trying to call me all day, it's like pre-cell phones, couldn't get a hold of me. So she finally came by the house and found me just in a puddle of blood, covered in towels I'd stolen off of people's porches. And she broke into the house, called 911. Ambulance came. I don't remember any of this. I do remember waking up in the ambulance once, realizing I'm in an ambulance, and the only thing that popped in my head was, I don't want a catheter. Because, your brain does not work normally when you're in shock. And I grabbed this poor EMT by the lapel and I pulled him close. I said, don't give me a catheter. And he was like, no problem. And I passed out again. And then I woke up again. And when I woke up, there was a sign that said, keep your eyes closed, lasers in progress. I'm like, that's a weird sign. And then I was in the CAT scan machine getting my head taken care of. I was like, oh, all right, keep my eyes closed. And then I woke up again. I don't know how much longer after that, but there's a doctor and a nurse standing over me, their masks on and everything. And the doctor's got this big old syringe. And I was like, hey, buddy, what's going on? He's like, well, we got to stitch up your chin. Got a big old scar right here on my chin. and we got to give you a local anesthetic to do it. I was like, hey, just make sure it's not like Novocaine or lidocaine because those don't work on me. Does never have, never will. You got to give me something else. And he's like, oh, this stuff will work. And he injected me and it hurt so much. And they stitched me up and it hurts so much. And I'm screaming in pain. He's like, whoa, you can feel that? I'm like, yes, you dick. I told you that stuff doesn't work on me. And the only pain I remember from that entire accident was when they stitched my chin. I didn't feel anything else. I had really bad road rash on my face for like 6 months. I had this giant purple scar that I thought was going to stay there forever. I had same scar above my eyebrow. My Oakley saved my eyeballs. They might be at my mom's house. So I had Oakley sunglasses that are anti-ballistic sunglasses, and I skidded to a hole up my face basically, and those saved my eye. But anyway, I was in the hospital for like 35 hours, got out, and my head was messed up. I could not start school, and I had to come back home to Seattle and recoup for a while, and I lost my baseball scholarship because I couldn't start in the fall, and ended up had to bounce around community colleges. Did much more tech work till .com bubble burst, and but insurance refused to cover anything. So, like, they covered the ambulance ride, so $1,200 or whatever that was, but the $40,000 of being in the hospital was not covered because they took me to Scripps Hospital, which was the public hospital, and it was not in the preferred provider network of Blue Cross Blue Shield at the time, so they would not cover any of it. And we tried suing, we lost. So then we had legal fees plus that, and that's why I was bankrupt at 18, because our healthcare system blows fucking goats, and we need a universal system that isn't stupid like this, so that someone who's unconscious doesn't wake up in the wrong hospital that their insurance doesn't cover. The silly thing was that the ambulance drivers testified that I looked like some sort of beach bum. They didn't think I had insurance. So they took me 45 minutes away to the state hospital and not 5 minutes away to the private hospital that would have been under my insurance. So that's why I was bankrupt at 18, which sucks, being stuck with all those bills at that age. And then I did tech work for a while, and I had nothing to show for that because I was a young kid, and I was like, this is going to last forever. And I'd go to Whistler and party it up, and then the .com bubble burst, and went back to community college, played another year of baseball, then went to Europe and played there, and that's the story of how it sucks to be in the American hospital system. Meow meow. Do you know that penguins are deranged perverts? They make Ted Bundy look like Mary Poppins. Look it up if you don't believe me. I don't know if I want to look up penguin perversion. I may have to wait till the show's over because I don't want to lose my YouTube channel before I look that up. Yeah. Drew Soul, fellow UCSD alum, loved hanging out in Pacific Beach. Man, I had so much fun living down there. For a good chunk of that summer, I was working for this tech consulting company, and there's a company that was in the north part of the county, C&E Vision Group, and they were like a distributor for Bosch and Lomb. And so like sunglasses and contacts and whatever. And they had an antiquated computer system for their ordering system that would only back up once a month onto like a Jazz drive or something. And 3 weeks worth of orders came in for like $200 million in eyeglasses and contact lenses and everything else. And then there was a power outage, and they lost like almost an entire month's worth of orders. And so they had to hire all these temps to come in and like enter everything by hand, sheets of paper, just millions of orders with like they're in a data entry class. And then my job was to rebuild their computer network and make it so it update like every 30 minutes and blah, blah, blah in real time and do RAID devices and all that crap. And, but we'd come in after everyone got done with the normal work day. So come in like 6:30 p.m. until 2:30 in the morning. And it was awesome because I'd wake up like noon. I'd go surfing for a few hours. There's no one out there. The beach is completely mine during the week. And then I would have a big meal and go to work at 6:30 at night. It was perfect for me. It was probably my greatest awakening was realizing that that's like my power hour. And a big reason why I switched from engineering to astrophysics was because there were no classes before noon. And I loved it. So yeah, that's... Yeah, I do wish, like, if I had stuck with engineering, I probably would have gone back to UC San Diego because the engineering program is amazing there. But, I ended up doing physics and astronomy, and Hawaii is the best place for astronomy in the world, so that's where I ended up. Still got to the surfing though. Okay. All right, that was the Bob Lala one. Okay. And Robert thinks we're ramping up for a good week. I agree, Robert. I think this is going to be a good week. Daphne says it also wasn't a bad documentary. She was bracing herself to be pissed off, but she was pleasantly surprised. Okay, that's a good review. And Drew Soul says San Diego's the best Mexican food, best after beer. There was a place, when I first moved to San Diego, I stayed in this youth hostel for like a month out near like Point Loma, Dog Beach, that area. And there was a Red Apple Market, and the parking lot of Red Apple Market was this little Mexican fish taco stand that, so it's 1999, gas is 87 cents a gallon, halcyon days, man. And for $5, I could get 5 fish tacos, like 10 taquitos, and rice and beans, and like a Mexican slaw. And it came in the styrofoam container that was just huge. And that fed me, like, it was like 3 meals for $5. I ate that place constantly. And I went back a couple years ago. I was like, I want fish tacos from this place. And I went, and the price had gone up to like $8.50 for the 5 fish tacos, all the taquitos, rice and beans galore. I was like, this is, same dude with the cleft lip was still serving me, that had been serving me 20 years earlier. It was awesome. Yeah, fish tacos in San Diego are a different animal. They just don't know how to make them. Like here in Seattle, everyone like tries to make them too fancy, and they saute all these things into it, and you just pan fry, white sauce, coleslaw, you're done. That's it. There's 3 ingredients. I don't understand. You don't need to like over chef this thing. Don't overthink it. Just 3 ingredients, and they are amazing. But no one has to make fish tacos here. Okay. Israel says Top Gun was really good as well. I'm going to have to go see it. Supreme Pig Roach, Houston, do you think the government will try to offer a settlement? Is that even a good idea? Can you refuse? My guess is that a settlement will work the same way a hostile takeover bid would work. Where basically the government will say, we're going to give you $10,000 a share per share. And then one day your shares are gone and there's $10,000 in your account for each one of those shares. That's probably how a settlement will go. We won't really have a choice if they do decide to do a settlement. But it'll only happen after the price goes so absolutely sideways and wrong that hedge funds are dying, investment banks are dying, brokerages are dying, and that's when the government would step in. They would still have to print a fortune to pay us off. Because if the market rate for a share of stock's $100,000 a share, they're going to have a hard time explaining why they force people to take less than that, and that would open up, the government to lawsuits at that point. So, I think it is a possibility. I don't think it is the likely outcome, though. I give it 25% chance that that's an outcome, versus a 75% chance that they just print money and close these positions until it's finally done. Jay, corn on the cob. Bit chilly in Australia because it's winter, and I live like an hour and a half from the beach. Well, there you go. That's why you're not at the beach today. And it's winter over there, isn't it? Well, obviously you aren't up in Queensland where it's nice tropical year-round, huh? Jane King, good morning. I'm on holiday in Greece at 8:30 a.m. Well, welcome, Jane. Hope you're having a great time in Greece. Wheat Wild, if he's in here, he loves Greece. He's trying to convince me to move there after MOAS. He's like, hey, they got beautiful islands, beaches, and they're skiing, and that's and it's cheap. So that's cheap beaches, skiing. Yeah, it's kind of what I want. Daphne says, thoughts on computer shares changes to online limit orders. Right now they have the highest per share limit order for GME. That's one thing they're going for them, is that they listen to the investors and they changed that so that people can put up to, I think, $9,999,999.99, I think is their top limit. So yeah, if you can get those limit orders in there, do it. May as well, right? Lexington Productions, Houston, should we be expecting brokerage website outages during MOAS? What do you think the number one thing people should be prepared for when chaos happens? I don't think brokerages going out during MOAS would help anybody. Like a lot of the shenanigans stuff people are in fear of won't help. If we can't sell our shares, they can't close their positions, and this just goes on longer. They want to get this thing over with when that happens. And the dividend of shares may result in this taking a lot longer to close than previously possible. Because remember, the biggest days we traded were silly amounts of shares, like 190 million shares back when the float was like 45 million. And if we have 190 million shares traded a day, but there's 8 billion shares created by these synthetics by that point, then that's 45 days of trading to close all these positions at that volume. They're going to up that volume by 10 times if they want to get this thing done in a week or two. And I just don't see that happening without the price being just insane. If the price gets to $100,000 a share, I'm sure they'll sell a lot of shares then. But if we want to milk it one share at a time, blink, one share at a time, blink, don't dump them, one share at a time, and just to keep that price up there and raging. Aviation Channel, Tether going to zero, market cap decreasing day by day? Yes. Let's see here. USDT. Oh, US dollar Tether coin is still at $1. It's a little bit below $1. 99.85 or something. UST, which is the Terra Tether. Come on. UST. Terra Classic is what they're calling it. 4 cents is the Tether. Terra Classic, they're calling it now. Cool, 4 cents. That's your dollar coin. Apparently they're coming out with 2.0 next week. No one's going to trust Do Kwon in anything he does now. Do Kwon's facing criminal charges in like 3 countries right now. It's going to be hard for him to stay a free man. I think Singapore, Korea. Who was the other one? Can't remember. I thought there was 3 countries. No, I can't think. Singapore, Korea, and he's probably facing. He probably has a Department of Justice investigation also, so it'll probably end up being the U.S. as well. But yeah, I don't think he's long for this for the free life. I think he's going to be facing hard time in foreign prisons. Boom, 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 boom. Scott Henning, 98% of my shares are sitting and will remain, but I bought a block of AMC and GME when it tapped 90 and $10. You think it crashes again with the rate rise? Hopefully the divvy ends this soon. I think post-announcement of the dividend, we'll probably see a suppression until lenders, they probably will do a share recall. And if that's the case, then it'll rise leading up to the date of record. After the date of record, probably falls again until those shares are put into our accounts on the dividend. What do you call it, monkey? The distribution date. There we go. It's midnight. My brain's not working all the way. Then it will see a jump. And then after the distribution, it'll probably flatten out for a while. And then once the FTDs start coming through for short hedge funds not paying on their liabilities for those dividends into the accounts that they've shorted, and they start facing liquidations, then we'll see a huge jump. And the time that could take is probably 1 to 3 months post issuance of the dividend. And that is when we're likely to see the forced liquidation of hedge funds as a result of this, if not before, from the fact the economy is collapsing and their other assets under management are worth spit. But hopefully all that aligns and goes bonkers for us. And, if I get a win off of these options, then I can use a chunk of that, buy some more shares, use another chunk of it, play some options some more. And, time it jumps, do nice cash generation and get more shares that way. Because why not? If it's a 7-for-1 split and you've managed to have 125 shares in your account prior to the share issuance dividend, you will be at 1,000 shares. And my goal is to be at 1,000 shares when the dividend is issued. Because I see $1,000 a share, no problem. And if worse comes to worse and MOAS isn't what we think it's going to be, I can still have $1 million worth of shares at some point. I think it's going to be way bigger than that, but it's always good to hedge and plan for the worst, hope for the best, and that way you weren't too disappointed when anything, goes really wrong. But if the price of the shares get above $350, $400, then MOAS is on, I think. I think that triggers liquidations of hedge funds across the board, and they won't be able to hammer the price down anymore after that. They may shut down trading. Oh, we're going to stop trading. But if they don't do that and the price rockets past $350, then it's on like Donkey Kong. Alex Park, Houston, what's the difference between covering and closing? Covering is sort of maintaining the status quo and doing the bare minimum you need to not be forced to close your position. Closing is literally, I owe you this share, I went on the market, I bought it, I closed my position, we're done. Covering is, I paid my rent, I paid my penalty, I found some liquidity somewhere so I don't face a margin call. That is covering. And the covering can be in a couple of ways. Like if you sell naked and you're facing a T35 failure to deliver, where your brokerage can liquidate you to close that position, you can cover by doing a debt swap, right? You can trade your bad debt with somebody else's bad debt. Whoop, you swapped. The ownership of that debt got reassigned and the clock starts all over again. Or if you're facing that T35 liquidation, you can go to an institution that lends shares and you can be like, hey, can I borrow some shares? And they go, all right. So you pay the penalty, you pay the cost to borrow and the interest rate and all that stuff. And they give you a bunch of shares on loan, and you take those shares and you give them to the brokerage to distribute to all the synthetics that you sold. That's also covering. You've now taken on a different liability. You're now paying interest on everything to this hedge fund, but you're not going to face liquidation to cover those shares or to close those shares that you generated through counterfeit means. So closing is you finally bought a real share, gave it to them, you close that position, it's done. Covering is finding ways to avoid closing those positions. That's the way best way I can explain it. Hope that worked. Monkey thinks it worked. She's sitting there. She's like, I heard this 1,000 times, man. Can you please yell at the wall about dog treats? By the way, I got some really nice stuff in the P.O. box this week, and the dogs were stoked. Got dog treats, dog toys. There's like bones and balls all over this house right now, and the dogs have just been absolutely just loving it, having a great time. Makes me as happy as anything seeing that. Okay. AKO, will the stock split cause each share to be worth less during MOAS? I don't think so. I mean, is it possible it could? But really, will it really matter? If we go back to the calculator, turn off Chrome, back to the calculator. Okay, so right now we've got 76 million shares. All right. If we do a 7-for-1 dividend, that means we're adding 7 more shares for each share, which means actually multiply the sucker by 8. And we will have a total number of issued shares at 608 million, with about a 500 million float, 530 million, somewhere in there is the float. Okay. So if there are no naked shares, there are no short interests, there's nothing. If there's just the normal shares we have, then the price would dilute by probably 1/7 to 1/8. So if the price is $140, it might go down to $20. It might. Now, the problem is that there's likely 1 billion or more synthetic shares out there. So if there's 1 billion synthetic shares, and the liability right now for those short hedge funds is they owe 1 billion shares while there's only 76 million in existence. If you want your blanket over your head, I can tell that look. I know that look. If you owe 1 billion shares, only 76 million, you got to buy each share, what, like 13 times, something like 14 times? That's a lot. You're looking at a 1,400% short interest. Now, if those 1 billion fake shares are all now owed 7 more shares, you are now underwater by 8 billion shares. You owe 8 billion shares, and there's only 608 million real ones you can buy from. So if we do 8 billion, divided by 608, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now you're still at 1,300% short interest. So your liabilities are just as bad as they were before, but now you have to find billions upon billions upon billions upon billions of shares that don't exist. It's going to take you a lot longer, which is going to force the infinity pool higher. And I think that you can just see just as silly prices as anything else. Now, if it cuts down from, if my floor originally was $100,000 a share before I sell my first one, I could still move my floor down to, 15,000, 20,000, something like that, and make just as much money as I was before, doing 50% premium each time on the way up until I get, feel like the volume has moved enough. But I think it makes for so many shares they've got to close that the numbers just become silly. I don't see it really affecting us that much. Do you think if Tesla had never done their share dividend in August of 2019, 2019, one of those dates, that the price would have gone to $1,400 a share? I think it was the fact that the dividends were issued that the price on the stock went higher. So looking for it to be a catalyst, and I'm okay with that. Mike Lang says a state-owned bank in China, people can't withdraw money. It happens a lot, and there's lots of bank runs in China, especially during COVID. Lots of folks trying to get money out and runs on banks. Happens a lot. Just in my head, when will the world look like Gattaca? We have to get better at DNA manipulation before that. 30 years, 40 years before CRISPR technology gets more refined and we can start doing designer babies. Michael Harrow, Houston looks like the active shooter drills don't work, especially if Texas policemen are cowards. Yeah. It seems like, they make the kids practice these things all the time and the cops don't do any practice. I think it's kind of funny. A few shows ago, I went on a rant about how useless cops are. And some folks got really mad at me and like, I'm never going to watch your show again. And then like 2 days later, those cops proved me right. Those cops in Uvalde, Texas a samurai would have committed seppuku by now. They'd have been like, I'm so ashamed. I'm going to put my guts out on the floor, carry myself out of here. That it is just so shameful, so unbelievably shameful that they can hear those kids getting executed and they just sat there for 70 minutes doing nothing, arresting parents who are trying to rush into school to save their kids. Don't you dare go in there, I'm going to arrest you. And they're screaming at them, go in and rescue kids, go in and rescue kids. The story of the mom who got handcuffed because she's trying to go get her kids out of the school, and they handcuffed her, and she somehow convinced them to unhandcuff her, and she like ran to the other side of the school, hopped a fence, and rescued her kids out of the school. Shows the balls the average citizen has over what these cops have. These cops are shameful. There's no redeeming themselves. They are absolute garbage people, and they will never ever know peace in their life again. They'll be derided and just seen as enemies, and just for how disgusting they are and what cowards they are. Don't become a cop if you are not willing to put your life on the line for some little kids. I'd be willing to bet that a room full of 100 people who knew children were in trouble in the next room, 90 of them, unarmed, would go in there, and if they had to give their life for those kids, they would. And the fact that these cops didn't do shit for 70 minutes. Like, are they so scared that if they break down a door, they're going to have to pay on that door? That's why they had to wait to find the key for that locked door. If they have a warrant for your arrest, they will gladly smash that door down, shoot your dog, and kill you in your sleep. But they aren't willing to kick down a classroom door where there's a guy with an AR-15 and 20 possible murder victims being executed on the other side of that door. It's just bullshit. Seppuku is the only way out. Every single one of those cops are just absolute shame. And if there's ever been an argument about defunding the police, this is it. We have shown that you can dress these guys up like little G.I. Joe army men, and they're still fucking useless. I don't have a Kevlar, I got my little gun, and they still aren't going to do anything. Oh, I could get hurt. Oh, really? Oh, wow. Did you know that a pizza delivery man is 14 times more likely to die on the job than you are? Like, the thin bread crust line meme is, it plays something. Those cops in Texas are just useless, and they should be ashamed of themselves. Absolutely ashamed. And the 20 different covering stories that the governor and the mayor and all these folks are doing, just give yourself up to the FBI now. Put yourself in handcuffs for being aiding and abetting a murderer at this point. You guys are accessories to the death of those children. It's disgusting. We need better people to be police officers for sure. Because those guys are not the best and brightest. They're a bunch of dipshits, and they should be ashamed of themselves. Ugh, they disgust me. Ugh. All right, on to happier news. Drew, I keep hearing people saying the government is going to intervene during MOAS because it will not let GME hit a market cap higher than companies like Apple, etc. I don't think the government will be able to do much. The government's going to be facing so many issues this summer, from a collapsing housing market to mortgage-backed securities going to zero again, corporate bond market failing, World War III, nations going into default, inflation is too high. We're going to be looking at massive layoffs. We're looking at full-on deep recession coming, and I don't think they have enough puppeteers to handle all that at once. They might be like, oh shit, GameStop's going crazy. Oh crap, that thing blew up. Oh no, that company went under. I don't know if they're gonna be so organized they're gonna be able to do anything about that. There's gonna be so much going on. They may just have to let it rip and go, we're just gonna print money and just hope that fixes everything, and then it'll make more inflation or whatever, and we'll deal with it when it comes. We'll reverse split the dollar or whatever. Jethro, Houston, what's your favorite restaurant in Seattle? Heading there next weekend. Ooh. Man, my most favorite restaurant got sold, and I'm not that big on the new owners and the food they cook, which is a bummer. Who do I really, really like? Who do I really like now? I like Nijo's for sushi. Sushi in Seattle's bomb. This is where all the fish comes in. We've got tons of sushi chefs that come from Japan just because this is the fish market for like the Pacific. Pizza wise, Bruschetto here on Bainbridge, best friggin' Napolitano style pizza in America, hands down. It'll blow your face off. Who else do I really like? If you want really, really fancy, expensive shishi dining, Canalus is delicious, but it will cost you basically a month's paycheck to go there. But it is like if Michelin were available to rate restaurants in the Seattle area, which I would put many Seattle restaurants up against LA and San Francisco rated restaurants any day of the week. There's plenty of restaurants that should get Michelin stars here, but Michelin doesn't rate Seattle restaurants. Yeah, that's quite a few of them. Let's see here. Lark was really good. That's up on Capitol Hill. Who else is delicious? That's hard. After COVID, I don't know how many are out there. A lot of them may have gone under or changed owners. Another really good pizza spot is Bartaglio. They do Napolitano style. They also do Romanesco style pizza, where you take these like big focaccia loaves and then you load stuff on them, so it's like a fluffy pizza. It's really tasty. Steelhead Cafe is delicious. It's kind of, I don't know how to describe it. It's like Northwest Fusion diner food, but like high end. It's really good. It's near Pike Place Market. Best Caesar salad I ever had in my life was there. I don't know. It's probably just they loaded it with garlic, but it was amazing. Grandpa Barney, what do you think? What's good places? You got something to recommend, I bet. Grandpa's up with you. How about AMC and GME? AMC and the money. 70,000 Tuesday open thoughts. Yeah, that's 7 million shares. Looking at 2 to 3 million for GameStop. I forgot which it was. I looked at the options chain earlier. 2 to 3 million for GameStop. That have to get bought. And yeah, I think we got some gamma going in next week for both of them. So if you got options, you're gonna be printing and use that to your advantage. Jonathan Randall. Do you worry about what best execution looks like for GME when we sell? No. I mean, one share at a time until you feel like, it's at a price or the volume's gotten so high that it might drop off. And then just dump the rest. Maybe hold on to 4 or 5 of them for Infinity Pool. But like my goal, I'm not counting on the fact that I'll become a billionaire from this. If I do, awesome. If I happen to be that person that sells at the absolute peak, they might write news articles about me or whatever. But the likelihood of that being me is very small. 1 in millions, literally. My goal is retirement. I want to be able to have enough that I should only have to work if I want to. And if I don't want to work, I can go for a walk with the dog and ignore everybody else. And to do that comfortably, 4 million, that's enough to dump that into an annuity and pull out a couple $100,000 a year, and I can live very comfortably on that. I don't need much. I can travel on that. I can live on that. I can own nice things with that. And I'll be happy. And I can reinvest a chunk of that and grow that pile in the annuity every year and just be happy. If it's more than that, fantastic. I don't know if my lifestyle will change much more beyond what I would expect as a normal retirement versus, Elon Musk money or something. But I don't need much, man. I need a roof over my head, a dog I can walk, and a 4-wheel drive car to go look at rocks in the desert, and I'm happy. That's all I need. Oh man, I am an hour and 15 minutes behind. You guys got me telling stories. And then I yeah. Okay, that's the restaurant one. Just in my head, can you debunk chemtrails? Yeah. It's a stupid thing. All right. So you got a jet, right? And that jet, on it, has 20,000 pounds in kerosene, Jet A fuel. And that kerosene goes into a jet turbine engine, burns, launches some exhaust out of the back, which produces thrust. That exhaust shoots out the back, and it's full of CO2. And that exhaust, at 70,000 feet, condenses because it's like minus 70 degrees up there. And that is the vapor trail you see behind a jet. Now, a jet carrying 300 passengers and 20,000 gallons of fuel and all of their luggage does not have room for chemtrails. Also, chemtrails or whatever would produce that is really expensive. You have to find somewhere in a budget somewhere like, oh yeah, we got to fill the plane up with chemtrails. And if you watch an airport from the window, you can see the fuel truck come up, filled up with fuel. You can see and then they push them back. You don't see like some chem truck. Oh, it's the chemtrails truck. It's coming up to put the chemtrails in there. It's dumb, it's lazy, and people just don't understand how condensates work. It's cold outside, and you go, oh. Guess what happens? The moisture in your breath went in the air and froze and condensed, and that's why your breath looks white when it's cold outside. CO2 is doing the same thing out of the back of a jet at 35,000 feet. It's just condensation. That's all it is. So, yeah, chemtrail. People who think chemtrails exist, I'm surprised they can tie their shoes. They probably have Velcro shoes at this point. Just bodies. Can you point out the exact part of the thesis where you and Girk disagree with Moas? Seemingly both agreed on most initial facts. I think Girk just thinks that the hedge funds are going to be able to manipulate a lot longer than I am hoping for. And that's, I think, the difference is that I think this summer is going to see so much brutal financial news happen that these hedge funds, their assets under management, are going to get hit so hard that they may lose the ability to manipulate anymore because they'll lose control of their hedge funds. The hedge funds will get liquidated, and that'll be that. We're seeing just such gigantic losses to hedge funds in this quarter that there's going to be fewer of them existing 2 months from now than exist now. And all their short positions are going to have to be closed out. And the banks don't have enough money to do that. So we're going to have to bail out banks. There's no way around that because their prime brokers don't have the cash to do this. And in the future, we're going to have to lessen how much margin these hedge funds can play with. And we're going to change how collateral is used and all that stuff. But until then, it's just going to be a mess. And I think that's the big difference that Girk and I have on this. Is I think that assets under management crashing the way they are is going to result in liquidations sooner than just the price rising on GameStop. Red Z Line, Houston, I live on the Hood Canal. I have heard of Sasquatch. They're called stick Indians by the locals. I have never heard of Sasquatch. I went hunting for them a lot when I was a kid in the forest behind my house. Never found one. I did find a whole bunch of old logging camps back there, though. That was kind of cool. And the chat just reset again. Okay. And sorry. Gotta scroll back up here. And well, that's one easy way. Just cut off 25 minutes of the chat by doing that reset. So now, if you commented before like 11:10 p.m. Pacific, I missed you. Do it. Okay, now we're at the alien butt stuff section. Do you have to pay extra for alien butt stuff? I'm not sure if you have to pay or if they have to pay you. Right? When you go to a strip club, you're the one paying for that stuff. They're not going to pay you if you go watch them at a strip club. Okay. BTW Brand, Houston, I'm glad you are streaming tonight. Watching you has become an important source of de-stressing in my week. Good. Usually I could de-stress folks, but then you get me on a rant, and then I think everyone gets stressed out after that. But goodness, do I feel cathartic when it's all over. I'm like, I got this out. And I feel good after that. Okay. Novaplex, you make up a lot of your storytelling in the Thiel Musk family histories. Interesting. Novaplex, you're full of shit. No, I've not made up squat. Elon Musk's father owned the largest engineering firm in all of Africa. He grew up in the largest house in Pretoria, and his mom's a supermodel. He's a rich boy. He grew up in a rich-ass family. Peter Thiel's grandfather was a Nazi rocket engineer who was killed in a bombing raid in 1943. His father and mother were both Nazis, and they moved to apartheid South Africa, where they supported the apartheid system. They are fucking Nazis. Peter Thiel, you're a Nazi. All your friends are Nazis. All the money you use to donate to people are friggin' Nazis. You're a Nazi. You support nothing but super duper Nazis, which is hilarious because you're also a gay man. And you know the minute they get into power, they're gonna kill you. So I don't understand this whole Ernst Röhm thing of like, oh, hail Hitler, and then you get to power and then Hitler kills you. Why? Because you're gay. You are the other. They will gladly take your money. They will gladly take your support. And the minute they get into power, they're going to execute you like that. It is voting for the leopards ripping my face off party, and then you're going to be surprised your leopards are ripping your face off. That's it. I'm not making up their family histories. That is who they are. That is where they came from. Elon Musk likes to do this like, woe is me, I had to support myself through college and I was poor. No, you weren't. His own ex-wife wrote an essay in Marie Claire magazine about what it's like being the starter wife for Elon Musk, and she said initially she was attracted to him because he was a rich kid in their college. Like, if you're a girl in college and you're dirt poor and a rich guy comes along and shows interest in you, you're like, oh, yeah, well, this guy's rich. That's one way to support myself. He's always been a rich kid, you know? His dad's always been a rich guy. People talk about the apartheid emerald mine in Namibia, but his money came from this gigantic engineering firm that they had. And his dad's a fucking weirdo. He married, was it his other son's girlfriend or something? She's like 30 years younger than him. His dad's weird. Total weirdo. But, you know, those psychopaths will make money when they need to. They'll climb over people to get it. I'm sure he had a weird childhood. I'm sure his dad was abusive and all that. But his dad was also the angel investor in his first company. The entire reason was X.com or it was that was his first company. The entire reason that company did anything was because his dad paid for it. Otherwise, you never would have had it. If Elon Musk had been born poor, you never would have heard of him. At all. The fact he was rich is the only reason he was able to ever make a startup. Same thing with Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg's dad gave him a $125,000 seed to start his company. Jeff Bezos' parents gave him $300,000 to start Amazon. Bill Gates' dad owned the largest law firm in the world, and his mom was on the board at United Way with the CEO of IBM, and she brokered a deal to buy DOS to be the primary operating system for IBM computers. Rich people beget rich people. NYU did a study, I think, who was it, the recent study? Was it Columbia? I'm asking the dog again. 2 studies have shown that if you're born rich and stupid versus being poor and genius level IQ, your status in life is not going to change. Rich and stupid will end up more wealthy than poor and genius 100% of the time. Being able to transcend the socioeconomic level is essentially impossible unless you're already born in it. You know, you might get like a 1 in a million shot, 1 in a billion shot where somebody, you know, did start from dirt and became something new. But it's rich people begetting rich people begetting rich people begetting rich people. That's the way it's always been. And yeah, Elon Musk will try to tailor and cater that narrative any way he can, just like he'll lie and say that he was the founder of Tesla. He's not. He's not an engineer. He's the chief engineer for SpaceX. The dude doesn't know shit about engineering. He's a programmer. Actual engineers do all the work. He comes up with goofy ideas, and his engineers go, oh, okay, and then they do something else. If they did what he told them to do for any of their rockets, those things wouldn't work at all. They just, you know, massage his ego and tell him, oh yeah, you did it, buddy, good job. And he goes, okay. But he just has the dumbest ideas. I mean, look at the Boring Company. I'm going to make this vacuum tube that can do 4,000 miles an hour around the country. And he basically reinvented the train, just a high-speed train. Cool. We need high-speed trains. Awesome. And the Boring Company plan went from these awesome vacuum tubes that fly around the country to becoming a single-lane car in a tunnel going 35 miles an hour with no egress, no ventilation, no emergency services. And we've seen what happens when one of those cars catch on fire. They'll stay on fire for 6 or 8 hours. There's water can't put them out. You can't put out a lithium fire with water. And the car doors lock on you the minute it catches on fire. So you're trapped in the car. You can't get out. It consumes you. Everyone who's in the tunnel with you dies as well. We've done tunnels before. We've done tunnels that have egress and fire escapes and ventilation. But he's a visionary who can invent tunnels at 17th century technology with no fire escapes, no ventilation, no ability for emergency services to get in there. It's he invented traffic jams underground. Cool. Awesome. Good job. And Elon managed to turn off his entire client base. What he wanted was rich, green-thinking yuppies and hippies to buy his cars. He pissed all of them off in the last 6 weeks. So they're not going to buy his cars anymore. And we know the MAGA people aren't going to buy electric cars. They want to, roll coal with their giant trucks on people who are jogging. And they're going to still buy their big, giant diesel trucks and, V8s and stuff like that. So Tesla is now going to face the fact that A, they make a pretty crappy car with really low build quality, and B, that they're now facing actual competition from Audi and Volkswagen and Cadillac and Ford and Porsche and Kia and Hyundai and Toyota and all these car companies with 100 years of building cars, with union-made cars that are higher quality and just as badass and just as fast, and they can actually change the designs something faster than once a decade or once every 20. Actually, Tesla's never changed a design. They're still on first gen for everything. That they're not going to be able to compete these guys. The customer service for Tesla is dog shit. The fact that Tesla keeps trying to fight the antitrust laws against car manufacturers owning the dealerships has resulted in really terrible customer service. Like if you buy a Ford from Bill's Ford and they're garbage to you, you may buy a Ford in the future, but just not from Bill's Ford. You're going to go over to Ted's Ford and buy your vehicle over there 10 years from now. But if all your dealerships are owned by the manufacturer, you are not going to get any difference in service from one spot to another. You're going to go, fuck this Tesla. I'm going to go buy, this Audi Q9 or whatever it is. Same price, looks cooler. It's much more unique. I got a better warranty. The build quality is higher. And that's what you're going to do. So, yeah. So I think Tesla stock's in for a hard crash. A really hard crash. Because he just pissed off all the people who were his potential customers. There are people who are already his customers are already mad at how crappy their vehicles are. But the next round, the next group of people who are thinking about buying a Tesla, maybe the next car I'll get a Tesla. They're going to get a Hyundai. You can get a better electric car from Hyundai right now than you can from Tesla. Newer technology, better build quality, just as fast, cooler looks. The Tesla's toast. I don't see Tesla doing much better. Yeah. So, I've never been a big Elon Musk fan in the first place, but he's really shit the bed in the last 6 weeks especially. Grandpa Barney worked on the Mercer Island lid, Puget Power Days. That tunnel is crazy, and the vent system's off the hook. Fire system, radio systems, yeah. That was, at the time, Grandpa Barney, that was the most expensive highway in the world. By a long shot. That chunk of I-90 through Mercer Island, we can bring up the map here. Google Earth. Bing. Where are you, Google Earth? There you are, but I can't find you. There you are. Okay. So, woo. So this chunk of I-90. So, got Seattle. This is Mercer Island in Lake Washington. It's a very rich, very she island. Very rich, lots of football players and stuff live there. And then this is the I-90 floating bridge. Okay, whatever. It's the I-90 floating bridge that connects Seattle to Mercer Island, and then another bridge comes off Mercer Island to Bellevue, and the mainland on the other side. This bridge and tunnel system was in 1990 was $100 million a mile, which at the time was like 10 times more expensive than any chunk of road in America, because all these rich people did not want to hear it. They don't want to hear traffic. They don't want to see it. They don't want to know that highway is there. Do not let them know it's there. They're rich. They don't want to hear car noise. So they had to make this crazy tunnel system through here with all these overpasses and high walls so that the sound would be deflected away. And man, it was expensive. I mean, that's the equivalent of probably paying $1 billion a mile today, if not more. Yeah, it's crazy expensive. And so there's this tunnel here, and then there's the Mount Baker tunnel over on the Seattle side. And yeah, you need ventilation in these things, because anything weird can happen. There was a few years ago, those of you who are Scandinavian who might be in here right now, you know about sweet cheese. Like, I know in Norway they put sweet cheese in everything. I think it tastes awful, but they love it. They use it for breakfast, dinner, whatever. It's a really soft, kind of brown, sweet sheep cheese. Well, the Norwegians put tunnels everywhere because it is a gigantic mountainous country, and it's so much easier to go through something than to like wind up and wind down. And one of the a semi truck carrying sweet cheese tipped over, caught fire, and burnt like 60,000 pounds of sweet cheese that burned for days and melted the tunnel. The fire was a raging inferno, and if you did not have egress, everyone in that tunnel would have died. But because there's safety systems and there's escape routes and everything, people got out and no one died. If a semi truck of sweet cheese were to burn up in one of Elon's Boring Company tunnels, that'd be it. You're done. Yeah, Grant Barney says parks on top of tunnels. Yes, you can see the parks here. Got these little parks here. It even looks like ball fields even on top of the tunnel here. Which is pretty crazy. I had an aunt that lived in a apartment building somewhere along here while they're constructing this back in the day. The construction noise was apparently awful. She had to move. But yeah, it's expensive, man. Expensive. Okay. Where was I? Shit on Elon. John Donson, Musk hates his own workers. That's true. I mean, it's the most unsafe factories in America. They've been super unsafe since the beginning, and they've done nothing to get it better, and they've lied to regulators about safety by not allowing people to go to the doctor or call in ambulances. They've been getting sued left and right for the way they treat black workers. The racism is just rampant. Racism, sexism, homophobia. If you are not a white male and you work in a Tesla plant, your life sounds pretty miserable. They don't seem to treat their workers very well at all. And Elon says, he's been fighting these unions for a long time. All of a sudden last week he's like, I'll let the unions in if they can convince my workers. No, he won't. Like the big thing for the workers wanting to be unionized is worker safety, because they're working really dangerous jobs and getting injured like crazy. And without union oversight, Tesla's able to sweep under the rug everything that's happening to these folks in those factories. It's pretty brutal. Whatever your wages might be and benefits, blah, 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 worker safety is one of the biggest things unions manage to overcome and get in place. And the Tesla factories are just dangerous. Okay. Okay. Darren Haya? I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right. I was going to Darren Haya. I'm going to say. Houston A chance mid-June hits 600s. Gambled on a call very long ago. Just wondering. I think it might be a little soon. Maybe that date of record will really surprise us and it will rocket in the next 3 weeks. But 600 by mid-June, I think, is asking a lot. I am very curious to see Thursday if they announce a date of record for the dividend and when it will be. That's really got me like scratching my chin and wondering. I'm going right now. So I'm hmming it up. Okay. Okay. Nomad 0600, what in the Hawaii shirt wearing yard water and old dog stealing the turkey straight out of the oven, odd fetish, weird bow smell did I walk into? I don't know. If you walked here, you did it wrong. Should have pointed and clicked. Okay. No, Plex, I still can't verify that Elon backed out of the Twitter acquisition. MSN had an article. I posted it to my Twitter. Let's see if I can call it back up here. Oops, the LP here. Here we go. Chrome. Turn off Google Earth. This is MSN. Elon Musk calls off Twitter deal amid misconduct allegations. Deals off. South African-born tech billionaire. So that's all I have is like one little blurb from Daily Digest on MSN. In the news page. That's the one that popped up for me. So that's what we're getting. Others have mentioned it. Let's see if it pops up on. Oops, not of, off. People reporting on it. MSN. So it seems to be the same MSN article that's coming up. That's repeating. So maybe I don't know. Maybe they're pranking us from MSN in their news section, but all right. So seems to be the same one popping up over and over again. Is the MSN article, but it's Friday night, so I don't know who else is reporting right now. That's the one I saw. If I'm totally wrong about that, I will retract and blame MSN for doing that. But maybe Bill Gates is like, fuck you, Elon. I'm gonna spread your Twitter deals off. We'll see. If I have to issue your retraction, I'll issue your retraction. Peter, any chance you making late YouTube post MOAS? I sure hope so, as I enjoy. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you, Peter. I don't know. I mean, I do have fun doing these shows, but like, if I've got $1 kajillion and I can be doing other things, I might pop in here every once in a while. If MOAS makes us rich, any show I do is going to be a charity show. That's it. There's going to be charity show after charity show after charity show. And so, if you see me do shows, it'll probably be for some charity. Okay. Frozen State Productions, which episode did you explain Hedges covering for kindergartners last week or 2 weeks ago? I think it might have been either Monday or Wednesday's show. Paratarian asked me to do that, and I did like a little 5-minute. I think it might have been pre-rant on Wednesday. The rant kind of took over the show, and I went for like an hour just raging against people who murder kids. But I think it all blends together. But I think it might have been Wednesday before that. So, yeah. Goddamn beach bum. Okay. All right. So I'm an hour behind in the chat again. I cut up 20 minutes and I'm right back an hour behind. Okay, I am at 12:20. We're getting close. I might as well just scroll to the bottom, see what people are yelling at me from here, and go from there. All right. So we're going to scroll back about 20 minutes. So if you are between 11:20 p.m. and midnight in the comments, I'm not going to get your comments. So I'm going to do the last few here at the end as we wind down the show. I apologize if I didn't get to your comments. Try to get to everyone I can, but I only have like 2 hours of yik yakking in me. I don't know how people do more than that. Okay. Don Von Dudeword. Houston, I love the show. I have a smelly question. I leaked gasoline and petrol in my car. Do you know of any scientific way to get the smell out of the car? Opening windows will not work. Okay. My family had this problem. So when I was in 3rd grade, my mom bought her first new car of her entire life. She was so proud of this new car because I would use crappy cars before that. She got a 1990 Ford Tempo GL. Still had roll-up windows, bright red interior. Woo! She got this car. She was so proud of it. It was new. It was hers. It was like the first big purchase outside of her home she had bought after my parents got divorced. It was a big deal. She was very proud of this car. And my oldest sister, like the first week we had it, my oldest sister had just graduated high school. She was kind of working odd jobs for the summer, and she got a job to do some landscaping. So she's like, oh, I'm going to put the lawnmower in the trunk, put the gas can in here, take the dog with me, and she went to go do landscaping. She did not put a cap on the gas can. The gas can spilled, leaked 5 gallons of gasoline everywhere. The dog then hurled his guts up after being overcome with gas fumes. So there's just vomit all over this new car. And for years, this car smelled like gasoline and dog vomit. It was brutal. And my mom's heart was just break. Her nice, fresh new car that she was so proud of was just gasoline and dog vomit. And it was wintertime, rolling the windows down, having to stick your head out the car. I don't know if it works with gasoline, but coffee grounds and baking soda, boatloads of it. Fresh, change it out every day. Put it in a paper plate, spread it out so it absorbs as many fumes as possible. If you have to, dump the coffee grounds and baking soda into the fabric or the carpet where it's spilled and then vacuum it up later. That's what I've done with cars I purchased that had, been previously a smoker inside. My Corvette, I put away, I winterized it, put away for the winter, and discovered that a mouse had chewed through the roof and just pissed and shit and had a whole family in the Corvette, and it's just, oh my god, it smells so bad. Baking soda and coffee took care of all of it in just a couple of days. And I just dumped into the shag carpet in the Corvette and just worked it in there and then vacuumed it all up, and that took care of it. And then once I vacuumed everything up, I cleaned it off with carpet cleaner so it was fresh, and that was the way to do it. So, Don Von Dudeword, coffee grounds, baking soda. That's where I'd say it's a start. Yeah. Okay. Michael Pisco, when you're doing your ladder selling, you're selling a market or limit order. Sorry, limit or market order. Limit. Set that limit. First one sells, set the next one. Second one sells, sell the third one. Third one sells, sell the fourth one. I plan on just doing it one at a time. And that's I figure if we get to MOS and that price gets so high, I can ignore everything else in my life for a couple of days and just deal with those consequences later. I will stare at the screen for weeks on end if I have to get that retirement in, because that is a worthy investment of my time. Most part, most days, it's not going bonkers, and so I'll check here and there, but I'm not going to spend all day staring at it. But when MOAS comes, I will stare at it all day. That's when it's time to put in the work to make it pay off. Okay. Plane farts ruin my life. Michael O'Hara, Houston, you find yourself on Jeopardy facing your brother Gardner or your sister in the Navy. Who wins? I win. Gardner is a much better engineer and artist than I'll ever be. My sister Rachel is probably a better physicist than I'll ever be, but I retain more trivial knowledge than anyone else in the family, and that is my superpower amongst all of them. So no, I would crush them both in even a game of Trivial Pursuit. They can play both of them against me. I will beat them in a game of Trivial Pursuit, hands down. So you heard that, siblings. I will crush you, and you know it. You do not stand a chance. You can put my entire family against me in a game of Trivial Pursuit, and I will beat them. It's just the way it is. Like when my friends and I play Trivial Pursuit, it's all my friends versus me. That's how we play, and I don't lose. I have never lost a game of Trivial Pursuit in my entire life. And I was really stoked about this show for History Channel because when we did the pilot, it was me and a bunch of Jeopardy champions, and I was like, if the show gets picked up, we're putting a Trivial Pursuit board in this room. We are really going to have a battle royale. And they're like, oh hell yeah! And I did feel like for the first time in my life that I'd met people who could beat me, and I've never had that. Like, I'll go to the local brewery for a trivia night. Sometimes my friends will be with me, sometimes not. I'll play by myself and I'll win. If I'm with my friends, we make a team name. If I'm by myself, I literally play. My team name is Playing with Myself, and I'll tell you, it's an ego boost to walk into a room full of 100 people and all of them go because they all know they're playing for second place after that. So yeah, trivia is my superpower, and it's what I do, man. I'm real good at it. I read everything and I retain the information. The one weakness I have actually is song lyrics. I don't retain song lyrics that well, so that's one area at trivia nights people can usually one up me. So when it comes to song lyrics. All right. Okay. Georgie Krasnov Pevsev. Oh, I butchered that one for sure. Morning from Estonia. Woke up to Houston's rant. What a perfect day. All right. You might be my first admitted Estonian viewer here. Okay. Jonathan wants to talk about obscure planets out in outer space. What odds would make one of those our next home? 55 Canceri E and LHS 384b. Are those the Earth-like ones? I can't remember. All the Kepler data I know is from like 10 years ago, and they found so many more since then. 55 Canceri E. As exoplanet, it's about 2.2 times our gravity. Yeah, we wouldn't survive in 2.2 times our gravitational field. That would just crush us. So that's not going to be one. And then LHS 384b. 384b. Oops. Let's delete that. Put that there. Give me LHS 384b. Says that James Webb will soon study it. But I don't have any data on what the planet is like. No, I don't know what LHS 384b's mass is like. But if it's like 55 Canceri, it's gonna be too massive. We might be able to handle up to like 1.2 to 1.3 G for a gravitational pull on a planetary surface. Anything above that is just going to break us. We won't get to the point where we're strong enough to handle our bodies handling that pull on them. So no, 2 G's or more, we're dead. It'll just crumple us. We'll just be laying on the ground trying to breathe, but it feels like we've got someone sitting on our chest. Just ain't gonna work. Can you imagine? All right, whatever you weigh right now, right? So if you weigh 180 pounds, go back to the calculator here. Calculator's on. Turn off Chrome. Okay. If you weigh 180 pounds, right? And how was it? 2.23? 2.273. So you suddenly weigh 409 pounds. How many of you right now can squat 230 pounds? Not many of you. If you work out every single solitary day, you might be able to do it. But know this. If you are traveling from here to something that's several light years away, it's going to take you years to get there, even at the fastest, most theoretical, fast traveling speed. But you will be doing so in 0G. And as you go there in 0G, your muscles are going to atrophy, your bones are going to lose density, and by the time you land in a gravitational environment that's 2 times or more, you are just going to snap a femur, and your lungs are going to explode, and you'll just crumple into a ball. That'll be it. You'll be dead. There's no way we're going to be able to send people there traveling unless they're in an artificial environment that's maybe slowly, building up more and more and more and more and more. Maybe one of those centrifuges, you'll start out at 1G, and by the time you land, you might be at 2G. Maybe over like 4 years of that, you might be able to build some sort of like muscle-bound freak. But I think it would just crush people. Put 409 pounds. Psh, psh. Yeah, you're dead. You're not making it anywhere. Okay. I'm at the end of my rope here. Anything else? Okay. After eating Taco Bell, I can squat 230 pounds. 230 pounds of pressure? Is that what we're talking about? Okay. All right, everybody. That'd be it for Friday night for me. Thank you for joining me on my Friday, Saturday morning, or wherever you folks are. Thank you. I enjoy it. I have a fun time. Monday's a holiday. Tuesday's our charity show. I don't know if I'll do a show on Monday, but we're definitely will do our Tuesday charity show. But what time? I'm not quite sure. Probably just after market close, around then on Tuesday. We'll do a charity show. Probably like half an hour after market close. That once we'll do it. My initial plan was to do a charity show for Sri Lanka. But since the Robb Elementary School shooting, I may veer and do a charity to support the families there. So it'll be one or the other. I haven't fully settled on that yet, but it'll be one or the other for our Charity Tuesday show this Tuesday. So stay tuned for that. If I don't have a show for you on Monday, because it's a holiday, nothing going on. But I will probably be doing a Twitch show or two, playing some GeoGuessr throughout the week. So look forward for those. If you're a late night person, and there's 300 of you here right now, you can watch me play GeoGuessr at late night as well, and you can see how that trivia freak knowledge works when you drop me off someplace weird in the world, and I go, oh, we're here in Israel. It'll blow your mind. I'm really good at it. All right, everybody, have a great night. I'll see you later, and I'll give you one of these.